It has been nearly 10 years since American journalist James Foley was killed by ISIS in Syria, a murder that shocked the world.
His mother is honoring his legacy in a new book, American Mother.
Diane Foley is joining us now live on Zoom to share more. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Could we start by talking about what inspired you to write this book?
Oh, I just wanted the world to know Jim, and also to know that anybody can choose to make a difference in the world. And I feel Jim has, through his death and the work of the Foley Foundation. I like to think that we've made a difference for good.
Well, and this is a perfect opportunity right now to tell us more about Jim himself, the person he was, and what inspired him to pursue a career as a journalist.
Well, Jim was interested in the world. He loved to hear people's stories. And he really felt that a lot of times we don't hear the voices of the little people, if you will, people who are struggling to survive or living on the margins, people in civil conflict. So he was very interested in bringing those stories to all of us so that we might have a better understanding and compassion for the world, if you will.
And you actually met with one of the men responsible for your son's death. Can you tell us more about why you decided to do that, and what was that conversation like?
Well, Alexander Cody was one of the former British jihadists who pleaded guilty to all 8 counts. He did not fight it. He said he was guilty. And part of his plea deal was the offer to speak with victims. And I knew Jim would have wanted to hear his story, to hear what why he would do what he had done in terms of, hurting so many people, so I just felt that I had to speak to him, hear his story, and tell him about Jim.
How did you feel about meeting him? Was there any sense of closure or anything like that?
To some extent, yes, Jeff. I took 3 different visits. The first one, of course, was awkward, as it would be with anyone. But by the end, he had expressed a lot of remorse, certainly to me, for the pain our family had endured, and tried to explain himself and why he felt like he was a soldier in the fog of war and that sort of thing. But I really felt we did have a bit of closure. I do. So I felt good about that. There was a grace about the moment. I think we need to be willing to listen to people we dislike or disagree with. We need to be able to hear one another, if you will. And that's hard. Jim was a particularly good listener, but it was more challenging for me, I think.
And you set up the James W. Foley Legacy Foundation in his name. Can you tell us about the foundation's work and what it's been able to achieve?
Sure. Well, our goal is to inspire the moral courage in our government and ourselves to bring Americans home, prioritize the return of innocent Americans who are targeted only because they're American citizens, and also to promote journalist safety. So since 2015, more than 120 innocent U.S. nationals have been freed and have come home. Like an example are the 4 that came home just recently. So to me, this is miraculous. We went from, Jim, Kayla Mueller, Stephen Sotloff, and Peter Kasich were essentially abandoned because President Obama felt that was the best way to protect other Americans traveling abroad. But what in fact it did was have them be murdered and used for propaganda. So I think we've learned from that. And we're starting to prioritize the return of our people. And I'm so deeply grateful for that.
And kind of speaking of that, among the names the foundation has been highlighting was Evan Gerkovich, who, of course, went to college here in Maine at Bowdoin. Can you tell us about how the foundation helped in his case and your reaction to his recent release?
Oh, well, overjoyed. We've been working very closely with the Wall Street Journal. I must commend them. Paul Beckett has been outstanding advocate for him. They've been ceaseless working with the family very, very closely. We have a lot of family members who've been to Bowdoin, so I felt a particular affinity to Evan's case, but they had a lot of support with the Wall Street Journal. We tend to work often with families who don't have any support, you know, so that is kind of our niche, if you will.
If there's one message you want readers of your book to come away with, what would you say it is?
Well, I just feel that anybody can make a difference. You know, when any of us citizens see an injustice, we in our little way can use our gifts to make a difference. Jim did, and we're trying to through the Foley Foundation. So anyone who's never heard of Jim, I invite them to watch Jim, the James Foley story documentary, or read the book, American Mother. It's a short read, and I hope it inspires others to be people of moral courage and make a difference, care about others.
Yeah, Diane, I got to be honest with you, you're one strong person. So especially to write a book about this and go and meet your son's killer as well. Wow, you know, what a story.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for reading it.
Yeah, thank you very much.